Politicians are like parking spots. Sometimes you have to circle around a few times before you realize the good ones are already taken or handicapped. Unknown author. All right. Good morning and welcome to another episode of the Liberty Dad podcast, a discussion on politics and culture. I'm your host, DL, America's most objective libertarian. If you're tuning in live, thank you so much for giving me your time so early. All right. Before we get into things, let me give you a quick update here with the Rumble Creator Program that I've been yapping about the last few days, working kind of hard to try to get that 30 hours in the last 30 days. I'm currently at 23.9. I meant to stream both Saturday and Sunday. Unfortunately, time got away from me on Sunday and I simply was just not able to. So, will I be able to make it? What's the goal here? The goal was I started about midway in the month once I realized that the program was live and then the details and all that stuff. So, I had to try to compensate. And I was like, all right, well, in the last half of the month, let me see if I can't make up all the difference and get that 30 hours so that by the end of the month, I can qualify for next month. And so I got about 8 more hours that I would have to get by noon Wednesday. I might can make it and I might even try. We'll see. But I'm just curious, from the audience, my regular listeners, um, you know, would you like me to go on a spree or are you like, I don't know. I'm just curious of your thoughts. I might still do it. We'll see. But if I do, it will have to be a bunch of smaller shows just because the longer shows definitely take a whole lot more prep for. And I just don't know that I have the time to be able to pull off a few longer shows by then. So I don't know. We'll see. We might still give it that old college try, as they say. But I'm just curious of your thoughts, everybody. So today there's not going to be a bill review. Instead, I'm going to have a candidate on. And so I'll probably try to do a bill review tomorrow. But, don't be upset. We're having a candidate on, as Joe dove right into the comments and he was like, hey, another candidate. Woohoo. That's right. Woohoo. And so who do we got today? Well, today, coming back on the show, I'm going to have Bruno, and I forgot to ask him how he pronounces his last name before the show. My bad. So, Bruno, I'm going to try to get it right because it's been a while since I last said it. But Bruno Pereira, if I got that wrong, he can call me out. But he is running as lieutenant governor, the running mate for Vic Kaplan, who I interviewed last Tuesday. So if you didn't see that, he is running. Vic Kaplan is running for governor of New Jersey, and Bruno is running his running mate for lieutenant governor. So please give a nice warm welcome to Bruno as he joins the show. Bruno, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. How are you?
Very well. Let's get that last name
Yeah.
correct here. Did I get it right or was I way off?
Pretty close. Yeah.
Pretty
Pereira.
Pereira. Okay.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have to work on that. Let's see if I can get some names on the bottom here. Let's see here. I'm trying to find where so while I'm looking to get our names up on the bottom, I don't have guests
Sure.
on very often, and I always forget about the names. Go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us about you, just who you are, and why you decided to run for lieutenant governor.
Yeah. So, good morning, everyone. My name is Bruno Pereira. As you guys now know, I am running for lieutenant governor in New Jersey. I am an immigrant. I came to the United States when I was 17. I was fortunate enough to come at a time where the American dream was still attainable, even now it has been destroyed. So the reason for me to run is to give that same opportunities that I had to the future generations, whether they are my kids, my grandkids, or everyone else's kids. I want them to have the same opportunities that I did. And unfortunately, via much government intervention, via much corruption, via much debt and stealing of our futures, that seems less and less likely now. So I am stepping up. Vic and I, we're trying to make a difference, and we are going to try and do that by becoming governor and lieutenant governor of New Jersey.
Awesome. So you last time I had you on was in September. You ran for
Mhm.
U.S. House, New Jersey District 9. So tell me what you learned from that experience.
Yeah, it was a phenomenal experience. My first time running. I have never ran for any office.
Mhm.
This was my first time. It was phenomenal. I got to meet so many people. I got to talk with so many wonderful people here in New Jersey. And the one thing that I learned is that people are looking for our message. People are looking for what we want to do.
How
People
did you learn that?
understand. Mhm.
How did you learn that? Like, what is it that said, "Man, they're really looking for this?"
Yeah. So many of my conversations, what I did very differently from many people is that I was on the ground. I was talking with people. I spent hours and hours just talking to people and listening to them, which is one thing that politicians aren't doing nowadays. They aren't listening. If they were, I think a lot of the things that have 80 to 90% consensus would pass,
Mhm.
but
Right.
unfortunately they don't. So it was a lot of groundwork, a lot of listening to people, a lot of caring for people. And it's quite obvious that politicians aren't listening. Politicians aren't even present anymore. So that's what I learned. I learned that people are yearning for something else. They're yearning for solutions,
Mhm.
and no one's really providing those solutions to them anymore.
Gotcha. And so from that experience,
Hmm.
and you got the typical libertarian 1.4%, right? Like libertarians
Yeah.
got an uphill battle for a variety of reasons, and the reasons are actually different from state to state in many cases. Some
Hmm.
states are more like kind of even balanced. You got, the chances of a Republican and a Democrat, particularly certain races, maybe more 50-50, whereas other areas are really, really red, other areas are really, really blue. So from that experience, in New Jersey running for US House, like what are the things that you're gonna take away from that run and apply to this run right here?
Great question. So I actually see the 1.4% as a win,
Okay.
and I'll briefly explain it.
Sure.
No one has had in that district 1.4%.
Mhm.
I think in 8 9 years. So there was that excitement again about a different idea, a different
Mhm.
approach. Um, People were listening, people were agreeing, people were excited to vote. And for me, that I'm new. to politics. I never ran for any office. I didn't have any backing like a Republican or a Democrat. I actually see that as a great win. What is different in New Jersey is that we're very opinionated,
Okay.
right? That New Jersey mentality, that New Jersey strength
Right.
that comes with it, and we don't do well when people tell us what to do.
I gotcha.
Um, a lot a lot of people don't realize, but our state motto and what's in our flag is actually liberty and prosperity.
Mhm.
So, what better message than libertarian message to actually go with the New Jersey motto,
Right.
right? Liberty and prosperity, and that's what we're trying to do, and that's what I think we should be able to accomplish just by going through some of the ideas and some of the things that we want to implement. We should be able to bring that liberty and prosperity back to New Jersey. So it's just hard work. We got to put a lot more hard work than everybody else. We got to spread our message a lot better and a lot stronger than everyone else.
Mhm.
But I know that Vic and I, um, we have that conviction, and we must have going to work hard for it.
Awesome. It's funny that you mentioned this New Jersey attitude, if you will. I'm trying to think if I've ever actually been to New Jersey. I know I've
Mm.
like I go there sometimes with a friend. We stop at his parents' house or whatever when we're on our way to Pork Fest. But I don't think I've actually been in New Jersey and kind of been out and about, interacting with people. But I have a
Hmm.
friend who's from New Jersey, and he's always like referencing like a similar like, "Hey, I grew up in New Jersey. This is how we are."
Yeah.
And he's pretty bulletproof when it comes to words.
Hmm.
In fact, if you get him, excited or, animated or even angry, you can find out whether or not you're bulletproof from words. So, he's
Yes.
a good character, and I've actually had him on the show. His name is Greg. So lots of
Nice.
fun memories there with Greg, and some things that we experienced in the past. But it just reminded me of that when you're talking about this New Jersey attitude. So
Hmm.
let me ask you a tough question, okay?
Okay.
Um, yeah, I like libertarians. I'm a libertarian myself. So none of the questions that I might ask you are meant to like insult you or anything.
Hmm.
But I do have to ask because you were like, "Hey, this was a great win," and um, when I look at Ballotpedia, I see that you actually came in fourth. So what
Hmm.
I want you to do is I want you to justify the great win with the Green Party coming in ahead,
Hmm.
about point 0.6 percentage points ahead. So
Yeah.
so justify that. And I'm not saying you're wrong, but I'm just curious how you would respond.
Yeah. I mean, numbers only tell part of the story,
Okay.
right? There is a lot more than just the numbers. Obviously, only those with the higher numbers win. It it,
Mhm.
it is
Right.
obvious. However, there are very different types of wins. To me, the biggest win, and when I started this, and I believe we even spoke about this in the first podcast we did, and you asked me what would success look like.
Mhm.
And to me, success would be to build a coalition. It was to build something that we could project into the future and something that we could build upon. So the 1.4 for my first time was excellent.
Mhm.
Now the Green Party came slightly ahead of me.
Mhm.
However, the Green Party candidate was a good candidate. He was very strategic as to how he went about it and how he earned his votes.
Mhm.
And he focused more on certain aspects that I did, and certain aspects at last year were a lot more toxic, and they were a lot more looked at than some of the topics that I spoke about.
Okay.
However, like I said, to me is a win because I do have a lot of people backing me. I had a lot of Democrats, I had a lot of Republicans come to me and say, "Hey, I love your message, but the march is going to die, so I can't vote for you right now." that kind of thing, right? But what was really interesting was again is that everyone agreed with my topics and with what I wanted to do.
Mhm.
Taxation. People in New Jersey are overtaxed, and the whole country is overtaxed, but New Jersey is the number one. So people want those solutions. People want to be able to have that freedom, and a one was providing to them. So just to hear every single spectrum of the political side and saying that they agree with me and they're excited to hear our message. I think that that's very empowering. One thing that I want to be able to educate people on
Mhm.
is that is really not left or right. Is really authoritarian versus liberty. And I'm here for the liberty side, and I think that in the end, we can most definitely win.
Gotcha. Awesome. All right. So let's talk about the position of lieutenant governor. So, according
Hmm.
to Ballotpedia, I did a little research because everybody pretty much knows what a governor does. But I'm not sure that voters in general, maybe the political wonks, the people that keep up with things, they might be
Hmm.
familiar with it, what a
Hmm.
lieutenant governor does. And according to Ballotpedia, it said, and I'm quoting here, the New
Hmm.
Jersey Constitution requires that the I jumped ahead, but that's okay. Requires that the governor appoint the lieutenant governor to head at least one principal department or agency. Have you and Vic talked about like, hey, we get elected, what position would you be appointing me to? Well, which department, which agency? Have you discussed that?
So we have had some conversations around it. Of course, nothing is final, right?
Right.
Um, but it's all I could say is that whatever I will be in charge of wouldn't be for long.
Mhm.
Only because many of those departments got to go,
Gotcha.
right?
Like
So
which ones?
yeah,
Let's
so
name
New Jersey,
names.
yeah, so New Jersey is over regulated, especially when it comes from the environment protection side.
Mhm,
They have a lot of power. They have a lot of unchecked power.
mhm.
So we most definitely want to resolve some of those power trips that they may have. We want to resolve many of those things that they have taken control of that they shouldn't. For example, in South Jersey, we have the Pines, and they are now restricting access to everyone, even to the people that are responsible, even to the people that might have been cleaning the place for 30, 40 years, even to the people that never caused any harm, even to the people that were in charge and were make sure that everything was clean, nothing was damaged, there was
Right.
reforestation. So the EPA now has come to the conclusion that everyone is bad and everyone got to be kicked out.
So, for the people that are listening or watching, what is the Pines?
Yeah. So the Pines
That are
is
not that
a
are not in New Jersey, I mean.
yeah, sorry. So the Pines is I believe it's still a state park right now that is one of the largest in New Jersey, if not the largest. A lot of people used to have all kinds of recreational activities there. They used to have their ATVs, they used to have the trailers, they used to camp, fish, hunt. So it is one of the biggest natural resources that New Jersey has, and for many decades has been fully open to the public. Until recently, when the EPA decided to say, "Hey, this is not your land. We understand it's state property, but the people from the state have no access to it." Um, so most definitely, they have gone out of control, and they're pushing people out of the resources that they should have access to.
Gotcha. Okay. And so you would open that back up for people to enjoy?
100%. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. That sounds good. So
Yeah.
as what I was trying to start with, and I just kind of looked at my notes incorrectly.
Yeah.
So, what is the general role of the lieutenant governor? Like, what are kind
Hmm.
of the responsibilities that you would be tasked with? And
Hmm.
what kind of things would you be now, obviously, you're gonna support the governor. That's kind of a given. Um, and anybody that wants to know what his vision is, you can
Hmm.
go listen to Vic Kaplan. What episode was that? I think I have it in my notes here. Yeah, where did it go here? Yeah, episode 490. So if you go back to episode 490, folks, you can listen to Vic Kaplan. He can talk about what he is planning to do as governor. We obviously want to focus on what Bruno is planning to do, and so let's talk about the responsibilities of the lieutenant governor, and then what you would be doing in addition to supporting Vic as governor.
Yeah. So the main the main duty, of course, is in case something would happen to Vic, in case he'll be incapacitated, in case he will step down, I would take over for Vic. The lieutenant governor is also appointed to head of one of the agencies or
Mhm,
one of the departments. Only thing it cannot be is state general, state attorney, right?
mhm.
That's the only thing that the lieutenant governor cannot be. Um, as we said, Vic and I we have spoken a lot about what kind of roles I will take, what kind of mission statements we have, and the main mission statement we want is to make the government of New Jersey a lot smaller. So I would most definitely take pride in doing that. Um, I do have a lot of experience in business. I have a lot of experience in the financial services. So I almost definitely welcome those roles of where we're looking strategically and we're looking at how can we make the government of New Jersey more efficient. The state is so bloated, the state is so big that we most definitely need to start to reduce it, and we need to start make a lot more efficient. You have the Department of Banking and Insurance, or you have the EPA, like we said. We have the Department of Energy also. So all of those have been bloated. All of those have been taken from the inside, and we need to fix that, and we need to give some respite to the people of New Jersey, which now we are, I think, the highest cost state in the whole country. So that's not the number one position that I want us to be. I want us to be in a better position.
Gotcha. The current now this is interesting because I was not aware of this. Um, the lieutenant governor position is kind of new, in a sense. And now
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a comparison to other states. I just happened to see this morning. But the current lieutenant governor, Tahisha Way, is the third lieutenant governor, and this year her term ends. The second was Sheila Oliver, who was in the position from 2018 to 2023, and then Kim Guadagno, I think, I'm not sure how you say that. She was the first one in 2010, and then she actually served for 2 terms, so through 2018. And so this is a relatively recent position in terms of the state's history. Uh, is there any background? Now, I don't know how long you've been in New Jersey because I think they voted like in 2005, so you may not have been there. How long have you been in New Jersey?
I actually came to New Jersey in 2000, so I've been
2000.
here
Oh,
25 years. Yeah. Hmm.
okay. So you went through the election to bring in the lieutenant governor. Now that was a
Correct.
long time ago. I'm just curious, what if you remember? If you don't remember, that's cool. I get it. It's a long time ago, and
Yeah.
we're getting old, right? But do you remember the reason why the lieutenant governor position was added?
I'm not sure as how they justified it.
Mhm.
It was Chris Christie, so Chris Christie was here for those 2 terms, right? For those 8 years.
Right.
It might have been an idea from Chris Christie,
Mhm.
and the likes. I mean, it does make sense because you do need a that second person, do need that running mate,
Right.
right? God forbid something does happen. I think if my memory serves me correctly, I believe at the time we had a senator that passed away at the age of 92.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. I believe he's the oldest senator to die in office,
Wow.
and he was from New Jersey. So that might have triggered some of that conversation and really looking within our internal politics. But I wouldn't be quite sure as to what led to
So what I hear you saying kind of like in between the lines that I'm making up here. Um,
that.
if we would hire younger people for office, we could
Ooh.
eliminate some of these backup roles and help reduce government. Part of the reason we got to have backups is because we've got
Yeah,
octogenarians in office, 80, 70, and
yeah,
80-year-old people. And look, no shade to 70 or 80-year-old people, but that's about the time that we start dying. So I'm just saying,
yeah,
like perhaps we bring them younger, right? And look at you,
yeah.
you're a younger candidate, right? You're ready.
Yeah,
So you're ready to be that young candidate. And it's funny because the qualifications are at least 30 years old for this position, a U.S. citizen for at least 20 years, and then a New Jersey resident for at least 7 years. So you've clearly met all of those. All right.
correct. Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit more about this lieutenant governor position. So the current lieutenant governor Tahisha Way, uh, on her official site, like the
Hmm.
government official site. It's there's not a lot. Like most of it is like things that she's done before, and then some things related to some other positions that she's been appointed to since lieutenant governor. But here's what it says about her as a lieutenant governor. It said Ms. Way brings her extensive experience to bear on addressing the greatest challenges facing New Jerseyans, from making life more affordable, which you and Vic have talked about, to protecting fundamental freedoms like access to reproductive health care and equality under the law, to maintaining New Jersey's reputation as the best and safest state to raise a family. Do you think she has accomplished any of those?
If I was a school teacher, I would give her a F
An F. Why?
because she has done none of that.
Okay.
So
What has she done? Well, tell me why, like
yeah,
what your rationale, and then tell me what she has done.
yeah. Um, just very simply, if we look at
Hmm.
our electric bill now is supposed in some areas go up as much as 26%.
Wow.
So that's not making it more affordable. Last year, there were two other rate increases. One of them also for me, for example, another 20%. So she has failed miserably at that, especially at least making more affordable. As a state to raise families, New Jersey is a great state, and I've stayed because it is a great state.
Hmm.
I do have a family, and I am raising a family. However, the cost of living makes it that much harder. It is safe. We're relatively safe state when compared to others. So that is a great plus for us. It's just that the cost of living. Our taxes are one of the highest, whether we look at property taxes,
Hmm.
sales taxes, tax for the tax, and everything else that
Hmm.
they will charge us. So she has failed. She has failed miserably. A lot of it has been government policies and what they have put in place.
Hmm.
The energy is a complete disaster. They have reduced a lot of energy creation.
Hmm.
Meanwhile, they have incentivized a lot of EV adoption. So that is a recipe for disaster, right? I'm going to produce less energy, but I'm going to create a lot more demand. So policies like that really make no sense is
Hmm.
what destroying New Jersey and our current standards of living.
Gotcha. And so, do you agree with her? So, you, in part, you and Vic agree that one of the greatest challenges facing New Jerseyans is affordability. So it
Correct.
seems like everybody, like, and I'm going to assume that the Republican. I think she's a Democrat. I assume that the Republicans also would say, "Hey, yeah, affordability."
Hmm.
So great. Everybody agrees about affordability, but it sounds like nobody's actually really addressing it. They just keep talking about it. But
Yeah.
then she goes on to, on her own website, she goes on to say, protecting fundamental freedoms like reproductive
Mm.
health, healthcare, and equality. So, and then you mentioned, about the state raising a family, and New
Hmm.
Jersey is a great state to do that in. What about reproductive health care and equality? Do you think those are major issues that New Jerseyans are facing, or is that just her narrative?
That's a very tough question. Um, I believe that we stand in a time in where we do have a lot of liberties. Um, we do have a lot of equal rights.
Mhm,
Reproductive health has not been affected in the state of New Jersey,
mhm,
as we know. When when there was a change to the abortion laws,
mhm,
it went back to the states. So New Jersey kept everything the same. So that narrative that reproductive health has been damaged and that people are now suffering because of it, I don't see it. When I talk to people, I don't see
mhm.
it either. Only thing that people ask me is, will I still keep my same freedoms? And I always say yes. I am a libertarian. I'm not an authoritarian like many others. So those will still stay in place. So I don't think that that's true. It's most definitely a narrative that politicians use in order to create fear, in order to have people vote for them. If they really care, they will listen to people and they will do the things that will allow people to succeed. I mean, for example, you're in Florida.
Mhm.
I know many people who have moved from New Jersey to Florida because of the cost of living. I believe we're number one and number two in people exiting the state because
Wow.
of the cost of living. And And to add insult to injury, what New Jersey has done is now they have an exit tax. So we're going to tax you. So we're going to
Whoa.
tax you, make it unaffordable. And then when you decide to leave because you can't afford it, now we're going to tax you for you to leave.
You're not, you're just being funny, aren't you?
No, there's an exit tax.
Tell me how this exit tax works, because I am very, like, you like, I'm gonna move, and they're like, they they I d tell I've never heard of such a thing.
So I always tell people, never be amazed at how the government could rob you.
Mhm,
So that's tax is just one of them. If you have a house in New Jersey and you sell your house and you move out of state, I believe it's within 12 months of selling the house,
mhm.
they will tax you for that.
Wow.
I believe it. I don't quite remember the percentage now. However, it is based on how much you sold your house for. So not only they're going to take the sales tax and the excise tax and everything
Right.
else they're going to take, if you decide to leave within those 12 months, now you got to pay also an NASDAQ tax. So
Right.
it's a complete disaster here.
That's pretty wild. I looked it up on Grok, which,
Hmm.
is generally accurate, but, every now and then you gotta kinda keep your eyes out. Um, it looks like it says 8.97% of the profit capital gain from the sale calculated as the sale price minus the adjusted basis. And
Hmm.
then let's see, 2%. Let's see here. 2% of this total sale price, regardless of whether a profit was made. So, oh,
Regardless if a profit was made, look at that.
wow, that's pretty wild. So even if you lose money on your property, you buy it for
Hmm.
$100,000, you end up selling it for $90,000, you're gonna pay at least a 2% tax. Uh, it looks like, if I understand what, uh, what Grok
Correct.
is
Yeah.
telling me. But then if there's profit, then 8.97% of the profit
Yeah.
goes to the government. That's
Yeah.
pretty wild.
And think about it. If you have a profit that is ordinary income, well, that's capital gains. So on
Mhm.
top of it, you got to pay your capital gains.
Right.
Uh, so it just absurd that their solution to people are leaving the state because they can't afford it. The
Mhm.
solution is, well, let's tax them more because they're leaving.
Right.
So that's how the government thinks. They
Right.
could just solve everything by overtaxing you.
Right. Now it reads here, it says, the term exit tax is misleading, as it's not a
Sure.
penalty for leaving New Jersey, but a mechanism to ensure tax compliance. I like
Yeah.
that's funny, because, like, let's just say that it's not an exit tax, because, like,
Hmm.
if you sold your home right now and you moved to another city, you would still pay that tax, right?
Hmm.
Yeah, so I can understand where people might say it's misleading, but it kind of dissuades you from selling your house at all, or trying to sell it for a much higher price so that the buyer can pay the tax for you and you still get your money out of it. But what's interesting is that, and this is just grok. So I mean, I don't know. Maybe
Sure.
the government says it differently, but it says to ensure tax compliance. So so in New Jersey, while you're having affordability issues, you're gonna tax people and call it a tax compliance. Like, this is how we ensure you comply with
Yep.
taxes, by giving you another tax.
Yeah.
It almost sounds like, "Hey, we wanna test and see if you will not comply at some point somewhere,
Mhm.
because you're getting tired of taxes." So, would you and I know you can't necessarily, or maybe you can, maybe you've had enough conversations and you can speak on behalf of Vic. Would you guys be willing to, and I assume that this would have to go through all the proper channels, the House and the Senate in New Jersey, or your assembly, or how whatever you guys call it,
Mhm.
but would you be willing to sign or would he be willing to sign legislation to just remove that altogether?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay. Awesome. So
100%.
there's one way,
We
New Jersey.
Yeah, we believe taxation is theft,
Mhm.
especially here in New Jersey.
Right.
Number one, right? So we almost definitely would want to get rid of those petty taxes,
Right.
which is what it is. It just petty, right? You're not solving any real problems. You're just punishing people. So
Right. So let me ask you, given how young this position is, right? It's only
mhm.
like, you would, if you win, you would be literally the fourth person to be in this particular position. The first man, by the way. So in
Yeah.
this woke world, you would have some boasting power because you would be like, I'm the first man to be in this position. And then I presume that the other three are not immigrants. So you would probably, I assume, be able to say, hey, I'm the first immigrant. I'm the first man. That's got to count for something in this woke world.
Absolutely.
But given how young the position is, and given that you're a libertarian, what ways would a libertarian lieutenant governor differ? Like more practical, not like, hey, we don't believe in taxation, and
Mhm.
like, what ways would your fellow New Jerseyans look and say, wow, that was different. That was refreshing. Would you like, are there things that you have planned to do, like monthly town halls or whatever?
Mhm.
Like, what kind of things would you do that would stand out, help, kind of shine a light on libertarians that Republicans and Democrats don't really do? Well, how would you make a
Yeah.
name?
Well, the biggest difference is that we are pragmatic,
Hmm.
right? Everyone else is more of dogmatic than pragmatic because they all follow their political lines, right? And they got to toe them very carefully, or else they're going to be shunned. The great thing about libertarians is that, as you know, there's all kinds of libertarians, and no one is as libertarian as you are, right?
Right.
So, but that speaks to the pragmatism of it. So, I will most definitely aim to be a lot more pragmatic. I'll aim to actually look at real solutions.
Hmm.
Things, as we spoke, that the EPA really look at what they're doing, how they're doing, and make sure that state parks have access to the people of the state. Things like energy, where we're suffering now with rate increases because of generation.
Hmm.
Well, instead of putting windmills in the middle of the Atlantic and have thousands of miles of copper, maybe there's better solutions for us to have access to the people, like you said, town halls and being accessible to everyone. We are representatives of the people.
Hmm.
So how can I represent the people if I don't listen to the people? So being visible, I'm okay with monthly town halls. I'm okay with monthly meetings. I'm okay with being as accessible as I could. Even when I ran for Congress last year, my personal cell phone was on my website, and I actually had people call me, and I had great conversations. So we are we aim to represent the people to the best of our abilities. But if I'm not accessible, how am I going to know what the people are thinking?
Right. Okay, good. So you recently became the chair of the New Jersey Libertarian Party, and you are running now for lieutenant governor, and presumably you have some sort of outside job that also keeps you busy. Some, you know, W-2, your own business. I can't remember. I'm sure we talked
Yes.
about it last time, but it was September, and I have slept since
Mhm.
then, and I am kind of an old person, so I tend to forget things. How would you balance all of that? Because that seems like a lot of responsibility. Uh-oh, I think he froze. Oh, we have a connection issue. Bruno, if you're talking or if you can hear me, just want to point out that okay, he gone. He gone. He gone is good English for 8 a.m. in the morning. Just saying. But we'll bring him right back. In fact, maybe I'll just take a commercial break while he gets back into the to the show. So let me go ahead and do that, and then we'll be back when he is back. So let me take a quick intermission. Hey, Liberty fam, do me a favor. If you enjoy the show, be sure to hit the like and subscribe button to my channel. And for the really serious folks out there, I want you to hit that bell so that you never miss an episode. By the way, if you want to support the show, head over to libertydad.locals.com and sign up. For $5, you can be part of this show. There, I'll engage supporters of the show. We'll discuss topics that you want me to talk about, response videos that you would like to see, or anything related to the show. And I'll even have a monthly subscribers only episode. By the way, I'm always looking for dads to join me for Dad Talk. That's my series where I invite everyday dads on to talk about what's important to them in the context of being a dad. No argument, no debate, and dads choose the topic. It's my way of raising dad voices. If you're a dad or you know a dad who has something to say, let's get connected. Episodes air live on Friday mornings or Friday evenings, whichever works best for dads. All right, let's get back to the show. All right, so I'm not seeing. Oh no, I do see Bruno. There he is. So let's bring him back in, and we will continue our conversation. And since this will be a good opportunity, um, Got you back. We good to go with the audio?
Yeah, I lost connection for a second. I
Yeah, it
apologize.
happens. That's the deep state trying to silence our voices. That's what I'm going with.
Yeah,
It may not
Governor
be
Murphy.
true. Right, it may not be true, but, I'm gonna go with it anyway because conspiracy theories are all the rage, and if you want people's attention, throw one out there. So, they're trying to silence me, folks.
Mhm.
Spread this podcast. They don't want him to win. And when I say they,
Mhm.
I am definitely not talking about the mob because they do not exist. I'm just talking about the regular deep state, which also does not exist. And am not suicidal. Anyway, so let's get back to the show here. I got a couple comments in here and I just wanted to kind of throw them out while we had that little disruption there. That Liberty lady says public education in New York is around 35,000 a year. What is it in New Jersey? Do you know what that is off the
Yeah,
top
I
of your
can
head?
hear you.
Hello? You still there? Uh-oh. Oh no. Oh no, he left. He was afraid to answer that one, folks. That's what it is. Probably not. He'll be back. We're having an internet connection. No worry. Let me get to this comment here because I thought this was, I think, amusing. I'm not really sure because when y'all make I know I'm an old, but when you make old references, I have to try to remember them, right? So you got this Jinzo 666, clearly just by the username, quality character there. Liberty Dad looks like the product from the love scene in Deliverance. Perhaps if I could remember, like, what are you, 80? And like, that's fine. Come in the comments, insult me. I've heard it all before. Blah, blah, blah. Whatever. No big deal. I'm all good.
Sorry, back again.
All right, he's back. Let's see.
You started talking about the deep state, and that was it.
Right, right. We're not gonna talk about that again anymore. We're not gonna talk about the mob that doesn't exist. We're just gonna get right back to the show here and talk about what does exist, which is your campaign. So,
Correct.
what you're telling me about how you're gonna balance all of these roles because you got a lot of responsibility. You're running, the third. I assume the Libertarian Party in New Jersey is the third largest party. I know it is in the United States. Is that the
Correct.
case in New Jersey as well?
Yes, that is
Okay.
correct.
So how are you balancing all of this? You got a lot of minions or something?
Well, I do have 2 kids, so,
Okay. So child labor,
yeah, sometimes it's beneficial.
right?
Uh, no, I mean, it's all about time management. It's all about understanding your priorities and being able to prioritize things correctly.
Mhm,
As you said, this is a position that's fairly new and there's a lot of complexity within it. But my life has been probably as complex. So
mhm.
I do have my regular job. I have another job where I teach at a Votech school. I am a father. I started my doctorate,
Oh, wow.
and I am a husband. So yeah,
And
so I'm
your
used to
doctorate
to
in?
complexity.
What is your doctorate in? Or what will it be
I
in?
started, yeah, I started doing a doctorate in business administration.
Okay.
My master's is in leadership and management.
Mhm.
So I really like that, and I wanted to continue it.
Gotcha. I don't know if you follow on social media, particularly on X, but once you get that, you'll be an expert and you'll be able to
Absolutely,
talk
yeah,
about things that other non-experts are verboten. They're not supposed to talk about, and you'll be able to say, "Hey, I am
yeah,
the expert. Are you an expert?" And they'll say, "No, I'm not." And you'll say, "Well, then you need to be quiet." So, like,
absolutely,
kudos to you, man, because
yeah,
you're getting up there. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
So it's interesting you talk about the time management. Um, what kind of things do you do to manage your time? Because I'm sure that some other listeners are out there, audience members are like me, trying to do a bazillion things. What kind of things do you do
Yeah.
what kind of strategies do you implement?
I mean, believe it or not, I'm still a little old fashioned when it comes to that. So I love Excel.
Mhm.
I use Excel for a lot of things. Pivots are my favorite thing in the world.
So you make pivot
so
tables to manage your time?
well, to manage a lot of the things that I do. But I do use calendars. I use Google Meet.
Mhm.
I use AI now. So AI is great in that aspect too.
How do you use AI for that?
Yeah. So you could set reminders. You could
Really?
set your calendar. Yeah. So you could do a lot of great things. I cannot tell you, how many times I go and I'm like, oh yeah, I do have that. So it does help you, look into the future, let you see what you have. I do use a calendar.
So the inside joke there is that I have a calendar that I do not keep up
Yeah.
to date. That Liberty lady she tries to help manage the show, and I make it more
Yeah.
difficult. And then if you ask my wife, virtually every morning, I'm like, "Hey, what are you doing today?" And she's like, "It is on the calendar."
The calendar.
Right? So, yeah, I'm
Yeah.
very notoriously terrible at the calendar. I even get in trouble at work with it. So this is a very systemic problem that I have. So
Yeah.
you apparently use it in the
Yep.
proper way. So
Yeah.
that's very interesting. I was asked to re-ask this question that we had.
Mm.
Public education in New York is around 35,000 a year. Do you know what it is in New Jersey?
I don't know the exact figure. It should be pretty similar to New York.
Mhm.
Um, so in New Jersey, our property taxes go for the schools, right?
Right.
So about half of our property taxes are for school, are earmarked for school. Whether it goes or not, that's a different story, right? And our property tax right now is about 10,000.
Okay.
So I know that every household is paying on average $5,000 a year per property. But I believe it is around that, also about the 30,000 per child.
Gotcha. Okay.
Mhm.
And then any plans to tackle that? Just open up, make sure free choices, as many choices as possible, I assume?
Yeah. So the one thing that bothers me is the monopoly,
Mhm.
and as libertarian, well, the government in general should be against monopolies,
Right.
right? I think the government really serves very few functions. One of them is protect the citizens,
Mhm.
and the second one is to protect against monopolies.
Okay.
Um, but the government has taken this monopoly position when it comes to retirement with Social Security, when it comes to policing, and when it comes to education. So they have failed in their aspect of stopping monopolies. But we must have need a lot more choices. We need to allow people to be able to take their kids into programs that they might agree with, right?
Right.
Um, I came to the U.S. when I was 17,
Mhm.
so I had all of my schooling done in Portugal, and the difference was night and day.
Mhm.
By the time that I would leave high school, I was ready to go to medical school.
Mhm.
Here, I leave high school. I still got to go to 4 years. I got to take the MCATs, and then I got to go to medical school. So clearly, there is a big gap in education between the U.S. and all the other countries. So that should be addressed and would be addressed with a free market. Because if I create a much better curriculum, if I create something that's a lot more efficient and a lot better,
Mhm.
then obviously people would want to come to my school. So
Right.
that will force the government to also compete and to do a lot better than what they do. Um, my kids are in school, and I believe we could do a lot better than what we're doing now.
Gotcha. Do you have I don't think so, but I think I know the answer. Do you have a
Mhm.
separate website, or are you sharing just the same one with Vic as well?
Yep, we're sharing one.
Okay, so you're sharing the same one.
Mhm,
So I'll put that in the chat there, since I happen to have that ready. So there that is, and I'll throw that up on the screen for you guys. That's
mhm,
Vic, the number four, VIC4, the number four, liberty.com. So again, that's VIC, the number four, liberty.com. So go there and um, check out what they have to say. So what else do people need to know about you, the
mhm.
campaign? Like, what did we not talk? What did I miss that New Jersey,
Yeah.
Jersey folks, or anybody for that matter, who want to support you, what do they need to know?
Yeah, so, Vic and I, we are a power team, right?
Mhm,
We're actually both immigrants. Vic, came from a country that went through the Soviet Union, right? He went through those struggles. A lot of people don't know Portugal was actually the second longest lived fascist country in the world.
mhm,
So we both, probably not myself firsthand, but Vic might have saw firsthand what authoritarian looks like,
mhm,
what that heavy hand of government really looks like.
Hmm.
And we understand that we're not there, but there's a lot of things that have to be changed in order for us to not become what our old countries were. We're here to provide with liberty. We're here to provide with prosperity.
Hmm.
Our agenda is a very good libertarian agenda. We might, some people might say that we might be a little radical. No taxes at all.
Hmm.
How are we going to make roads and fix our roads, right? Um, but in the essences of it, we're here for the people. We're here to represent everyone. We're here to represent the people that will elect us.
Hmm.
And we have a good understanding of the economics, a good understanding of the politics. And Vic and I together, we make a great team,
Hmm.
and we must have to complement each other very well. So if people want true change, if people want to say enough to the government, Vic and I, we're here for you.
Gotcha. Awesome. I think that is all. I had one more question. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Um, let's circle back really quickly. I know it's a bit early. I believe the primaries aren't until June 10th, if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm.
And so we speculated, Vic speculated on who his opponent might be. Do you have any speculation as to who the lieutenant governor candidate might be from either the Democrats or the Republicans?
I do not, because as you said, it's still pretty early.
Hmm.
Um, much like the president, right? They're not going to have a vice president until they win
Right.
nomination. I'm not aware of anyone else that has been named.
Okay.
Um, but if I may throw my projection, I think from the Democrats, at least on the government side, I believe it would be Guttenheimer, which he is in Congress right now,
Hmm.
and I believe in the Republicans going to be Spadia. So
Okay.
that's my projection.
Gotcha. Okay. I mean, and we're not going to hold you to that because obviously it's really early and many
Hold me
things.
to
Well,
it.
things in politics change, right?
Yeah.
So, and it's again, you got to see who is actually running. And I now do the other parties do it like the Libertarian Party, where because you and Vic were both voted from
Hmm.
the New Jersey Libertarian Party separately, right? You didn't
Correct.
come as a team.
Correct.
So do they do the same thing, or do they have their primary for governor and then the governor chooses their
Mhm.
person? How do they do that?
Yeah. So it is appointed. It is
Okay.
appointed by the governor. So I believe once they have earned the nomination, then later on in the campaign, they will appoint someone that they want. There have actually been debates,
Mhm.
lieutenant governor debates.
Okay.
Um, hopefully the libertarians get invited, because we never get invited because they're afraid of our ideas. They're afraid
Mhm.
of dialogue with us. Um, I will welcome any and every debate,
Mhm.
and I look forward to debating ideas, and to have good dialogue and to do what's best for the people of New Jersey.
Right. So here, let's put this on the table for you. I'm gonna throw out an offer.
Hmm.
Um, at least that first, I presume that they're going to have a lieutenant governor debate at some point. If you do not get invited, how about we try to live stream, if
Mm.
we can, their debate, and then you can just say, "Hey, here's how I would have answered. Here's blah blah blah." We'll plan on if you cannot get in the debate, we will host our own kind of like I don't know what you would call it, but live stream tapping onto it. And again, this is all presuming that it'll be, which it should be, streaming somewhere that I can restream it and all that good stuff. So
Yeah,
if you're up for it, we can do that. And
absolutely.
it'll be fun.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely, 100%.
all right. Any final words for you, sir, before I head out and do the closing?
So final thoughts. I want to thank you. You do a very important job. I listen to you as much as I can. So I'm a
I
fan.
appreciate it.
I appreciate everything you do. For the people of New Jersey, thank you for welcoming me when I first came here. Thank you for listening to me when I ran for Congress,
Mhm.
and hopefully I can help you all.
Awesome. I'm gonna put you backstage. If you need to go, that's fine. Otherwise, we can chit chat after the show. Thank you so much for joining me. All right, folks, that was the show. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure if you know of somebody that's running as a candidate, as a libertarian candidate, an official straight up libertarian candidate, have them reach out. I'll bring them on the show. I'll interview them. I'll ask them the tough questions ish. I still favor libertarians, so I'm not too terribly hostile, but I'll try to give them a tough interview. Hopefully prepare them for, Fox News, MSNBC, or whomever, whatever, wherever they can get an interview. And then, maybe I can be their proving ground, if you will, but go ahead and let me know. Otherwise, thank you guys for joining, and let's go ahead and close the show out for today. Thank you for watching, and I hope you found this episode informative and inspiring. Be sure to catch me Monday through Friday, 7:30 a.m. for an informed discussion on politics and culture. Make sure that you're subscribed to my YouTube channel, or if you prefer my Rumble channel, you can go to youtube.libertydad.com, or you can go to rumble.libertydad.com. While you are there, let me know how I'm doing by leaving me a comment. You can also become part of the community by heading over to libertydad.locals.com. Remember, if you're a champion of liberty, your business is people and your product is liberty. I want you to have a great week. Catch you next time. But for now, I'm out.